All right, Taurus, this is all about you learning from your own experiences, but wanting to move toward people who are of like mind, where you can share your wisdom and experience. So growing up, wanting to grow in experience and rejection of perpetual youth, and then the tribe. So I like growing up, but there are some things that I don't agree with when it comes to this. But it says, understanding that the years bring their lessons to you, embracing becoming an elder, watching time make its marks upon you, and embracing the signs of aging. That one right there, I just kind of want to like erase from here because no, not yet, please. But it says, understanding the wisdom that can come with age and being young at heart, yet yearning for encounters that will help you evolve, grow, and experience the fullness of life. And that's where the community comes into play, the tribe, other people. Now, tribe says that this card signals a new affiliation with a group. It says humans are social creatures and we need to know we are useful in our tribes, families, and communities. In a tribe, everyone has an important function and feels I matter. Membership in the group provides a sense of belonging, of kinship, and of purpose that comes from working together for a greater fulfillment, but for the greater fulfillment of all. It says perhaps you are a part of a spiritual community, which, yeah, that would make sense, or an artistic one. It just says that regardless of its form or focus, your community brings you joy. And it says that you will be inspired by it. It says your contribution may be as small as showing up or as large as becoming its leader. But it's really important for you right now to find that group of people that not only makes you feel like you belong, but also supports you based on what you are, growing up from. And that's going to have to do with, all your younger past experiences, right? But I still like it. Honestly, the two of them. All right, Taurus, here's your overall. Oh boy. All right. And that may be the mark that is on you, right? So the Three of Swords being the overall. Now, I'm hoping that everything that's going on around this is about you getting back to, a place of forgiveness. But, like I always say when it comes to the Three of Swords, right? First of all, we're talking about heartbreak, betrayal, separation, and that being the main focus. When we're talking about forgiveness, we're not talking about you needing to forgive another person who has done this to you. It's about forgiving yourself for having, been in that situation or allowing yourself to have been put through that in the first place. But, we'll see where this is going. In the past, the Eight of Cups. So now with the Three of Swords being the overall and looking at the Eight of Cups as the past, we're talking about you feeling like there is nothing left that you can do in regards to a situation, but it still sucks ass, right? This is definitely being hurt. But, my worry though is with the Eight of Cups, have you done this? Or are we still looking at you being heartbroken over, a person or a situation or something that has happened to you, and that maybe it's time to move on because you're not getting the fulfillment that you need, but are you kind of like just contemplating it right now, And what I worry about is whether or not you continue to put yourself through heartbreaking situations because you're not quite ready to. But then again, for some of you, it is you have moved on, but it still hurts. In the present, and that's what I'm talking about, the Eight of Swords. So with the Eight of Swords, I mean, in either way, right? We're talking about with the swords, first of all, the thought process, kind of where you are mentally in the way that you're thinking about what you've experienced. So with the Three of Swords, right, this could definitely be you still focused on the pain over the fact that something ended up, not being what you wanted it to be with the Eight of Cups, right? But with the Eight of Swords, we're still stuck with those thoughts and not really seeing how you can move forward from this. Now for some of you, yeah, it is that you're still kind of stuck with a situation that is heartbreaking for you and you're not really seeing a way out just yet. But again, it's kind of like your own thoughts that are keeping you trapped with that heartbreak. Okay, much better. Much, much better. So in future conditions, temperance. And it's not so much about you, patiently waiting for something to change. I don't think that that's it. I think that with temperance being in future conditions, even though we're looking at the Three of Swords, it's going to be about you kind of getting, your own inner balance back, and not allowing those thoughts to kind of like take hold and keep you stuck with it anymore. It's like, you know what, it's not worth the time and the effort anymore, And going back to the Eight of Cups, some of you realize that you need to kind of stop doing this to yourself though too, But I do like that temperance is what's coming out here. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. The Ace of Pentacles is your best path to follow. This is saying that there is an opportunity for you to take advantage of something that is realistic, practical here, the potential for growth, all the things that I love about the Ace of Pentacles, but mainly it's because it's something that you're going to be able to actually see in your physical world once you take advantage of it. So there is a new beginning, a new opportunity for you. It could be in love, it could be for work. Whatever it is, it's going to show you something. You're going to be able to see something for it. But you have to do something with it. But I feel like before you can accept a new opportunity, you got to kind of get past where you feel stuck, especially mentally in regards to something that has broke your heart, But I do love the fact that you have this kind of being handed to you here. And I don't think that it's something that is going to leave you. I don't think that, you have to be quick to kind of get yourself out of a bad situation or bad thinking and hurry up and like take advantage of this. Like, I think it's there. I just think that, that, but right now it's not that easy to get past the pain first, Okay. In your environment, the moon, and that makes sense with the Eight of Swords, right? So it's, not having clarity, obviously, here with the moon, but seeing things in a distorted way, So there may still be like a lot of emotional confusion over, what didn't work out, especially considering how much you have invested into it, especially emotionally with that Eight of Cups. But with the Eight of Swords, right, it's that, inability to see clarity that's keeping you stuck, but it really does have to do with the way that you're thinking, because you're talking about the subconscious and the subconscious mind that continuously is bringing up the fact that you have been heartbroken, right? But with the Eight of Swords, you're allowing yourself to kind of be stuck there, I don't understand. That's what I'm hearing. I don't understand why this didn't work out. I did everything that I possibly could. And that's kind of where, you're stuck with that Eight of Swords. That's the thought that's keeping you like, But like I said, with temperance being there, I feel better about it coming out. Your hopes and your fears, the Seven of Pentacles, yeah. So, whatever this situation is, it would make sense that, all of this makes sense to me. The Seven of Pentacles is like looking at it and going, maybe there was potential. Because with the Seven of Pentacles, I always question on whether or not this person is actually happy with the initial results that they're seeing. The Eight of Cups immediately says no. But as far as hopes and fears, this is saying that you may not be clearly seeing the fact that there may not be any more room for potential growth, because you're still stuck here. I look at this as you trying to figure out, well, what could I have done differently to make this work, and maybe there's something else that I can do to, see the growth that I want, but you're going to have to, completely start over though with the Ace of Pentacles. But, because it's hopes and fears, it's directly related to what you've already experienced and what you're going through right now. And it's keeping you stuck. You know, if there would have been potential for growth, we would have seen something other than the Three of Swords and Eight of Swords. So what I would say is, stop going back and doing the coulda, woulda, shoulda. And for those of you who are just looking at that and going, I'm really upset at the fact that I didn't see what I wanted to based on everything that I put into it, right? You have to kind of get past those thoughts, but don't look at new opportunities the same way, And then coming out the Ten of Wands, yeah, man, right? Like you're trying though, you're trying. It's not your burden to bear anymore. You're definitely going to have to drop this, but this is something that's like weighing on you, and it makes me wonder if some of you don't feel responsible for the fact that maybe a situation didn't work out, but that's not really fair to do that to yourself. You know what I mean? With any new opportunity coming through, I think that you want to, but I don't think that, you're going to be able to just leap into something else new. I do think that you need a brand new path in life, but you got to get rid of the garbage that's weighing on you. Now, the Hangman, right? It makes sense with the Eight of Cups. And I'm telling you, that seems to be the theme for a lot of people right now. And it would make sense, especially with, Mars being retrograde, right? So putting your life on hold, thinking that there's something else that maybe you could have done differently, but not really knowing how to move forward in your own life when, you're having to leave something behind, or, and for some of you, it could be somebody leaving you behind, and that could be the issue though, too, because of the King of Cups and being stuck and going, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why this is happening. But they're not being very clear with you though either. With the moon being there, they're not being open with their emotions. There isn't an explanation as to why things are going this way or why they may have done what they have. For some of you though, you may be like shutting yourself off emotionally to everything. And that's, going to create a problem here coming out. Now, like I said, with the Fool, you need it though, and that's the thing, you need it. And with the Ace of Pentacles being there, I think that, despite what is going on here and what you've experienced, you need to be able to kind of have faith restored in better opportunities, But is it too much of a risk? Is it too much of a risk for you to kind of let all of this go and leap into something new? Especially if you're carrying around this like heavy burden of responsibility, but it's not fair to you. You know what I'm saying? And then it makes me wonder if somebody else isn't making you feel like, that you are responsible for this happening, but that may not exactly be the truth, But either way, you still come out carrying the weight of all of it with you. But at the same time, it's like you're trying to find some balance. So I kind of go back to the Oracle cards and I'm thinking that, yeah, some of you are needing a support group, where you can show or you can talk about, what you've experienced, what you've been through, and people of like mind will give you, support that you need. Because I don't know, I get the feeling here that you were let down by someone else. Now, for some of you, like I said, you may feel like you are responsible for what may have happened, but that's not fair to you in future conditions. You still have this opportunity for a new beginning. And this is, basically letting source come down here and, you opening up to divine inspiration, right? And stop carrying around something that is going to prevent you from moving forward and accepting new opportunities. But intentions, setting your intentions, setting better intentions for the new beginning that's coming to you. But, also be open to, source here with the crown chakra. so that you're not, carrying that garbage anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a better message from spirit trying to come to you, And faraway places, get ready for new horizons. Very nice, very nice. So, discovering truth, this card specifically is talking about, you discovering a truth that other people may not accept. So, if we're talking about, the truth of the situation is that, this is not something you should be carrying around anymore. It wasn't your fault, right? It takes two to tango kind of comes up with this. We're talking about relationships, but other people may not see your personal truth as their truth, and that's fine because it's about your own truth right now. And that truth may be that it's time to, go a great distance here for a new horizon in your life. But it's kind of like moving into the unknown, especially with the moon and then looking at the Eight of Cups, right? And the moon being in that one. But there is definitely something bigger and better, but it's going to be far removed from what you are experiencing here.